On the 17th, look, the fact that George Washington worried on the first time he spoke after being elected president, hundreds and thousands of innocent people between there and the Iraqi border. I'm the only one that got moved to make sure that we could not have a magazine that had more than 10 rounds in it. When you register it, the likelihood of it being used diminishes exponentially. The way to deal with those guns and those AR-15s and assault weapons that are on the street, are not on the street, that people own, excuse me, in terms of foreign policy. I've never seen a time, and I spent thousands of dollars in the Situation Room. What is happening in Iraq is going to, in Afghanistan, took almost a $90 billion act that kept us from going into a depression, putting us in a position where I was able to end able to end the issue of gun sales in terms of assault weapons. Well, the senator said she's being vague on the issue of, actually both of them being vague on the issue of the Medicare for all. Became very close friends with my wife, Jill. Visited our home. He was there with his children. So for God's sake, get up. Get up and remember, this is the United States of America. There's nothing we've been unable to do when we decide we're going to do it.
Your Democrat frontrunner, everybody. Joe Biden. He's the answer. Joe Biden. Afghanistan, Iraq is exponentially. That's a fun one. He's gonna exponentially make the country a worse place, is what he's gonna do. But producer Mark pulled that one for me because at the top of the show I was thinking about Biden and he made a little Bidenism. And then you have all the gaffes also, which for normal politicians a gaffe is a problem. For Biden, it's just Joe being Joe. That's the media protecting him. He was protected for 8 years as Obama's vice president. He could do no wrong, really. As long as he was there for Obama and as long as he understood that Obama was king and Joe Biden was a not even a distant second. He was in some other universe. Then the media just completely had him protected because they were protecting Obama. So there was no real. That's also why all the stuff about Ukraine and Hunter Biden didn't cause bigger issues at the time. Who cares about that? He's Obama's vice president. Anyway, I know that I wanted to move on past but there were a couple of last minute kind of grab bag items from the debate that I wanted to get to before we talk more specifically about impeachment. And we didn't hear from Yang, and I think that Yang is one of the least annoying of the Democrats. The problem he has with universal basic income, though, and this is just a little bit of, I read the books about these things. Universal basic income is not supposed to be in addition to a welfare state. It's supposed to be in place of a welfare state. And from what I understand, Yang just wants to give people money and keep all the other social programs in place. No, that's not how this is supposed to work. That's why even some libertarians, for example, say just forget about SNAP, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, food stamps. Forget about Section 8 vouchers, welfare housing, and forget about all these different things, and just give people a check or give them a check every month and let them do what they want with their money, but that's what they're getting every month. That's what universal basic income is supposed to do for people. There's not supposed to be any more safety net, at least in the original incarnation of universal basic income. That's the way that it was presented. But you see, the problem with the basic income is that it becomes a less basic thing when people want to add more to it. And then, as I mentioned to you, I think it was yesterday, 51% of the population decides the other 49% has to give them more money, which is not a good thing. And direct payments, not just in a welfare program, which will have to have a bureaucracy that administers it. But here's what Yang said, because there was some discussion about the wealth tax. And here is what Amy Klobuchar said about this. Because, you had Tom Steyer, the billionaire there last night. He wants to here's a billionaire who bought his way into politics to tell us all to get money out of politics and be scared of climate change. He wants a wealth tax. Amy Klobuchar had this to say about it. Play 14.
But I want to give a reality check here to Elizabeth, because no one on this stage wants to protect billionaires. Not even the billionaire wants to protect billionaires. We just have different approaches. Your idea is not the only idea. And when I look at this, I think about Donald Trump, the guy that after that tax bill passed, went to Mar-a-Lago, got together with his cronies and said, guess what? You guys all got a lot richer. That was the one time in his presidency he told the truth. So we have different ways. I would repeal significant portions of that tax bill that help the rich, including what he did with the corporate tax rate, including what he did on international taxation. You add it all up, you got a lot of money. That one helps pay for that child care, protects that dignity of work, make sure we have decent retirement, and make sure that our kids can go to good schools.
She had a good night, folks, for a Democrat. I'm just going to say it. And I think that any smart Democrat who wins would think very long and hard about Klobuchar as a VP to help with the Midwest. It depends on who it is, of course. Because Klobuchar started to seem a bit like she seems like a more down-to-earth version of Elizabeth Warren without the baggage of decades of racial fraud. So that's pretty good stuff, I think, for Klobuchar. Even if she does eat a salad with a comb sometimes. That was what was reported. I'm just telling you what was reported. Andrew Yang, though, speaking about the wealth tax, he understands that this is not going to work out the way that the Democrats on that stage said it would. Play 16, please.
Senator Warren is 100% right that we're in the midst of the most extreme winner-take-all economy in history. And a wealth tax makes a lot of sense in principle. The problem is that it's been tried in Germany, France, Denmark, Sweden, and all those countries ended up repealing it because it had massive implementation problems and did not generate the revenue that they'd projected. If we can't learn from the failed experiences of other countries, what can we learn from? We should not be looking to other countries' mistakes. Instead, we should look at what Germany, France, Denmark, and Sweden still have, which is a value-added tax. If we give the American people a tiny slice of every Amazon sale, every Google search, every robot truck mile, every Facebook ad, we can generate hundreds of billions of dollars and then put it into our hands because we know best how to use it.
He was on the right track, and then he just took the truck into a tree. He's right about wealth tax in all these countries. I mentioned it with France at the start of the show. But then he says, but let's just create all these taxes that will create a massive slush fund because we know what to do with the money. No, we don't. You know what to do with your money. Individuals in charge of spending their own dollars, which is really just a representation of their own value and time, the value created and time spent on things. That is what is efficient. That is what builds wealth, and not just for an individual, but for an economy overall. The government is not good at spending your money. You would be better at spending your money than the government. This is the disconnect, the philosophical, fundamental disconnect that we have from the other side. And so Yang gets some things right, and then takes the wrong lessons from it and goes very much in the wrong direction. There's one other thing I wanted to mention, that the Peter Hamby, I'd never heard of this guy before. He was on Snapchat. He asked Mayor Pete Buttigieg about the Dave Chappelle special, which I have recently been telling you all about. And I think the Dave Chappelle special was very funny, and it was brave, and it was real comedy, and it's certainly worth you all watching. And I knew as soon as you watch it, you know exactly what he's getting in trouble for, which is you are not allowed in America today, unless you are LGBTQ, and even then you're running risks. You're not allowed to make any jokes, no matter how mild or well-intended. You're not allowed to make jokes about the LGBTQ community. None. Not allowed. Total ban on that, based on cancel culture mentality. Well, here is what Mayor Pete, who I have to say, I've never seen him smile or say anything funny or seem like he is a joyless candidate up there on stage. He seems like he's got, he speaks well and has a good command of subject matter for a Democrat socialist. But here's what he said when asked about the Dave Chappelle special on this during the Snapchat interview. Please play.
There's also kind of a subgenre of comedy with like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr who are deliberately trying to be provocative because they're sick of what they think is a culture that's too politically correct.
Look, two things are true. One is that part of how comedy works is it challenges our conventions, it challenges our sensitivities, and that's part of what it can contribute. Another thing that's also true is hurtful things and hateful things often come at us in the form of humor. And we just have to learn how to handle both of those things. When a piece of art that is out there to challenge conventions does something that's really harmful, then I think it's time to turn it off. But we get to have those debates.
Part of Dave Chappelle's shtick in the last couple of comedy specials he did was deliberately making fun of transgender people.
I don't want to write these jokes, but I just can't stop.
So should that just be turned off? Should he not have a Netflix deal?
So I haven't seen the special. I will say that there comes a point where you're just straight up hurting people. And I don't know what goal you're hoping to achieve. As much as there's been a lot of political correctness, there's also this weird way in which it's become fashionable to attack political correctness that I think has become its own weird correctness out there.
No, wrong. The fighting against the bad thing is not the bad thing. Cancel culture and political correctness are a cancer on American society today, period. It is a psychological restraint as much as anything else. You cannot speak openly. You cannot speak honestly. Nothing can be forgiven. Nothing is that we never give the benefit of the doubt anymore. It's always just racking up more of a professional body count to show people, see, if you transgress, you'll be destroyed. And I'm sorry, not okay with that. And Pete, Mayor Pete here, it's just easier to say that instead of his last name, which Buttigieg is how I say it. I think that's pretty close, but I've heard a million different ways to say it. You know, Mayor Pete wants to be woke. He wants people to think of him as woke. And if you're woke, you know what that also means? You don't have a sense of humor. Woke people aren't funny. They're not funny. They think they're funny. They all make the same jokes about Trump, the same jokes about, Stormy Daniels, the same jokes about Russia. They're not funny. And it's a shame, really, because the power that the left has to control the media is greatly enhanced by this cancel culture nonsense, right? They already are the gatekeepers for what gets made, what shows get made, what movies are actually put out. They have tremendous influence and all that. But then you add to that. Additionally, you go beyond that with by the way, we have this set of ever-changing rules that can end your career if you go so far as to offend our sensibilities, which shift day to day, depending on the winds of how certain, how the winds are blowing about how certain people feel about certain things. That's it. Mayor Pete doesn't even have the intellectual courage to say, maybe we should stop doing it. Maybe we should cut that crap out. I've never met a person who is interesting and worthwhile who thinks that cancel culture and the politically correct constraints that we all have to live under are a good thing and will defend. I've never met one. Every person, I've tons of liberal friends, tons of conservative friends. These days, probably slightly more conservative friends, but nonetheless, I got lib friends, plenty of them. And they all know that this is bad. In fact, I think I saw that Twitter is now trying to find a way to deal with the problem. This just broke today. Deal with the problem of journalists whose careers are ruined because of an old tweet. And I looked at this. I thought, this is astonishing. There are lib journos who live to comb through the tweets of even non-public figures to destroy them and to make an example of them. Doesn't matter if they tweeted something when they're 15 or 16 years old. And it's been 10 or 15 years since then. They journalists think that they do a great public service by destroying people based on one tweet from a decade ago, including when somebody was a minor. But now we're supposed to think that journalists themselves shouldn't be held to those standards? No, I think the only way out of the hell that is cancel culture and the way to begin to blunt the impulse for virtue signaling that it represents, the only way to get there is to say, all right, if you want us to live by these rules? Everybody lives by these rules. You want this to be racking up the body count of people getting fired from their jobs and people getting, their careers ruined? You want that to be the example you set? Well, then we're going to have to set it in both directions. I don't see an alternative. I don't see another way around this other than being nice and just getting punched in the face all the time for being nice.
There's no requirement that we have a vote. And so at this time, we will not be having a vote. And I'm very pleased with the thoughtfulness of our caucus in terms of being supportive of the path that we are on, in terms of fairness, in terms of seeking the truth, in terms of upholding the Constitution of the United States.
This is about the most consequential process the House of Representatives could possibly engage in: overruling American voters and nullifying an election. Surely, any such process must be conducted with the utmost fairness and transparency. It must be held to the most exacting of standards. And yet, House Democrats have wasted no time throwing fairness and precedent to the wind.
What do we even call this thing, this impeachment inquiry, other than a debacle, a partisan, politicized debacle? It is what it is. Does anyone really think that that's not, oh, Trump is the worst ever? I heard some Democrats last night in the debates talk about the Mueller report. The Mueller report was so bad that they didn't impeach him over that. They had to conjure up something else just in time. Oh, that's right. Right when they wanted something, they managed to find something. Well, as we all know, the whistleblower, there was collusion behind the scenes with Adam Schiff. This was a hit. There are people now who are coming forward from within the federal bureaucracy who hate Trump, which is most of the federal bureaucracy, I can tell you. And this whole thing is just such a sham. It really is such a sham. And yet we're being told that we're supposed to take this as necessary. Not even that this is acceptable, that it's necessary to protect our democracy. So Pelosi says that we will not have there's no requirement that we have a vote, so this time we will not be having a vote. She's just making this whole thing up as she goes along. They're just trying to do what they can, trying to maneuver, use leaks from closed-door testimony, have their allies in the media run with certain stories. But you know what? I totally understand why. The Democrat candidates that they're putting forward aren't going to get it done. And their worst fear is that there is a free and fair election without the encumbrances of some impeachment process or whatever, or without the stain of impeachment on the president, and that Donald Trump will win 4 more years in office. That is their worst fear. I mean, they worry about that more than nuclear war with North Korea. They feel like anything that they have to do to stop Donald Trump from being president is acceptable. And when you see those Democrats last night on that stage, there's just objectively speaking, there has to be a moment with these Democrats where all of a sudden it hits them, oh my gosh, we might have 5 more years of Trump in the Oval Office. How do we, and I think they've been worried about this for a while, but I believe that it's really now settling in. That's the reality that they're facing. That's why this impeachment nonsense is going on. Facebook.com/BuckSexton is one of the ways that you can get the roll call happening. And you can also write to us at teambuck@iheartmedia.com. By the way, as you know, we've got the Pluto show now streaming. Some of you are probably watching me on Pluto as I'm telling you this, so for you, it doesn't really matter. But those who haven't, we have digital TV of the Buck Sexton Show now available on the Pluto TV app. Channel 248, isn't that correct? What did I do wrong?
No, you're doing it right. I just want to point out to some people who I saw on social media, it's not a cable channel. Pluto isn't.
Yes.
It's an app on on your phone or on a smart TV. Because I saw some people saying that their cable provider didn't have that.
Right.
So I want to clarify for people how to get it.
Yeah, Mark is our unofficial technology correspondent here.
I had to explain it to you before the show. So.
Under the age of 50, so he knows some things. Although he's curmudgeonly like a 50-year-old, but that's okay.
I have the heart of a 50-year-old.
There we go. So, Channel 248 is how you can watch the show. It just brings you here into the hut in New York City. You can see how we roll in real time, and that's what we do. Channel 248. It's totally free, by the way. Just download it on your smartphone. And not that I want you to watch anything other than the Buck Sexton Show. Well, the Jesse Kelly Show is also on, which is fantastic. Jesse Kelly's the man. He does a great show. He's super funny. He's a fantastic guy. Don't tell him I said any of this, by the way, because I like to pretend that I wouldn't say these things, but of course I do. Jesse's the best, all 6'11" of him. And you should definitely watch that show too. So we'll have more shows that'll be joining the lineup pretty soon, but Channel 248 on the Pluto TV app and just turn it on. I mean, we'll be running the shows, those 2 shows, pretty much on a loop, I think, so it's easy for you to catch them. And just tune in when you can. And also the podcast numbers, we really appreciate that they are going up because more and more of you are hearing about the show and telling people about the show. And it is early enough that you can listen to it now at a minimum in drive time, if not before then. So now I'm hoping that you make this and you tell other people that really spreading the word is the most important thing, because if you're listening, you already know about the show. But I'm hoping you will tell others that the Buck Sexton Show is what they should be listening to for their daily download about all of the things that are going on. All right, let us get to it. Hold on 1 second here. Adam writes, Buck, if you decide Ben Weingarten uses a particular filler phrase when he's talking, which I understand is to let his brain catch up to his mouth, shields high. Well, I don't know what that filler phrase is, Adam, but I heard that Ben did an excellent job. So, yeah, I guess we'll just kind of leave it there for now. It's good to have Ben fill in on the show. Nicholas writes, I love the accents and the singing. Keep it up. Crack me up singing with the Trudeau accent the other day. Oh, I appreciate that. Here I go again. Girls, what is my weakness? I just want to shoot. Oui, mais oui, bien sûr, I just want to shoot, no? I don't even know what to shoot means. But
I think I know what song you were trying to sing, but I don't know where you're going with it, though.
I'm just trying to think of random songs.
There was no rhythm there.
All right, whatever.
You were just saying words to a
Trudeau
song.
doesn't have any rhythm. You think that guy could dance? Actually, maybe he can.
Maybe.
Yeah, he probably took like ballroom dancing growing up. I took a little ballroom dancing growing up. True story. Gotta know how to dance at those debutante balls, my man.
I'm gonna have to take a dancing lesson soon. I'm being forced.
That's right, for the
wedding,
right?
yeah.
Ah. Well, how's it coming along?
The wedding planning?
Yeah.
Expensive.
Weddings are expensive.
Yeah. Too expensive.
You know what else is expensive, I'm told? Kids.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're waiting as long as possible.
Get ready for that one. Yep. Weddings. It reminds me of also at Wedding Crashes. Remember when he says to the guy, I saw you on the dance floor. You move pretty good. It's like me, man. Surprisingly nimble on these feet, I will have you know. Thanks to the...
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, now that we have a camera in here, you can dance also. So people can see.
I mean, don't give me any ideas. That could definitely happen. But the Trudeau accent will be coming back. Even though it's ridiculous. It doesn't even sound like Trudeau. But my Elizabeth Warren, that's the one I really want to nail that accent. Because, wow, could you imagine 4 years, maybe 8 years of Elizabeth Warren talking about how my daddy told me Wall Street bankers are crooks. It's like, did your dad really tell you that? Oh, man. She's such a phony, I almost respect it. You know, she's kind of in that category of Frank, I think his name is Frank Abagnale, right? The guy from Catch Me If You Can, where he's such a talented fraud that you go, wow, that guy's really good at fraud. Let's see. Kristen writes, yes, please sing the holiday songs with your voices. That was hilarious. Well, Kristen, I think we know what we may have to do as part of a special, maybe a special segment as we get closer into the holidays. Chestnuts roasting over an open fire. Sleigh bells ringing in the snow.
Do I get any say here as the one who
None.
added all of this?
The people have spoken, sir.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's right. Here we go. Frank writes, how does one quit the CIA? Isn't it like trying to quit the mob? No, Frank, you can quit. I left. I left on very good terms with the folks at Langley, but I left. You have a lifetime secrecy agreement, so that's a real thing. You have to respect that. But no, other than that, you can leave the CIA. I wish I had a cooler answer for you, but yep. Jeremy writes, Buckman, which is technically my name. So nice to hear Tulsi Gabbard at the debate lay the smackdown on CNN and the New York Times for calling her a Russian stooge. Nobody should mess with the spirit of aloha. Shields high, Jeremy. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I like Tulsi. I don't know what to say. Some Republicans just want to hate all Democrats. I do not find her hateful at all. I think she's wrong on some policy, but I think she's pretty cool. And this reminds me of a lot of people I'm friends with. They're wrong on policy, but they're still cool. They're smart. They're good people. So, I think it has nothing to do with, the whole surfer, she's a 37-year-old unmarried female thing. By the way, some of you, whenever I get called out on this, I'm like, come on. The Buckster, these considerations don't even factor into my thinking. I mean, it's kind of cool that she surfs, but whatever. We don't have to get into that. Uh-oh. Every time Mark swivels over in the chair, I know there's something coming my way.
It was work this time, but, I mean...
Oh, okay. You actually were doing work.
Yeah, maybe you just wanted to miss a Sexton.
There we go.
Would Buck Sexton marry a Democrat?
Wow, that's a question for
I
the
know.
ages. That's a thinker.
Mm-hmm.
That's a...
We'll get back to that one.
A little stumped on that one, folks. Not sure that I have an answer. Sean, Freedom Hut board member, self-described. I appreciate that, man. Also known as Original Saturday Squad. Hello, Buck. Speaking of Hunter Biden and how much he was getting paid for being on that board, what was the average pay of the other members of the board? Curious. Sean, you raised an interesting question, my friend. I don't know what the answer is to that. And I would be a bit curious myself. I'd want to know what the other board, because if Hunter Biden was making $50K and they were all making $5, wouldn't that also just further solidify the basic concept here, which is that Hunter Biden was a non-quid pro quo bribe to influence the thinking of people in the government, not just Biden, about how they would deal with Burisma? Wouldn't that help? You could call it circumstantial evidence, I think. You could call it circumstantial, to be sure. But I don't know the answer, Sean. So we should find out. If we had an honest press, they would already know. Emily writes, hey, Buck, first let me say your Elizabeth Warren impression had me laughing out loud tonight. Great job. Thank you, Emily. Also, I heard you mention the other day that you may start calling CNN Cuomo Brother Fredo instead of Bro Cuomo. But I love Bro Cuomo and the impression. Please don't give that nickname up. Yo, do you even lift, bro? Bro Cuomo, it's like, yeah, I take a little creatine, lift all day, go on CNN, lie in order to propagate liberal ideology, and then threaten to throw strangers downstairs if they say something I don't like in reference to a movie from The Godfather from back in the day. Do you even lift, bro?
I do.
Huh.
Does creatine help?
I don't know. I've always thought they put it in like iced tea drinks. So how much can it really help? I don't know.
I mean, I eat a lot of protein, but
it's fun though. Whenever we have any kind of a fitness discussion
like
on air here, there's always a few wise guys in the audience who are like, I'm just training for my natural bodybuilding championship. Thought I'd show you this picture of how to get it done at the gym. And I'm just like, I did not ask for this.
No.
This was not requested.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir. The shirtless selfie was never requested.
I lift to stay healthy. I don't lift to show off.
Yeah, it's good for the heart.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good for the heart. Good for the mind too. By the way. But Emily continues on. My 6-year-old listens to the car sometimes and knows how much I like your show. The other day while we were watching football, he randomly asked, "Which team does Buck like?" I couldn't give him an answer. So although you are not a huge sports fan, do you have a favorite NFL team? Absolutely love your show and amazing insight. Shields high. Emily, thank you for the very, very kind message today. Yeah, I mean, by family obligation, I'm a Giants fan. And I also am not enough of a masochist to be a Jets fan. You're probably are you a Jets?
No,
Mets?
I'm a Giants fan.
Are you a Giants fan?
Yeah.
All right. We can still be friends.
I'm curious if you could even name one player on the Giants right now.
Nah.
Really?
Eli Manning.
I mean, he's not the starting quarterback anymore. I don't know if you're aware.
Did not know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
He is on the team, though. Got benched.
So, there we go. How's the other guy doing then?
I mean, he's a rookie. He's doing all right. The Giants aren't very good this year.
What's the record?
2-4.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah, no.
Where are the Jets?
The Jets are 1-4, but their quarterback was out for most of the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know anything. This is like a long time ago. Someone asked me. No, it wasn't that long ago. Maybe 10 years ago. I tried to play it cool. Like, yeah, I like the Yankees. And they're like, who's your favorite player? I was like, Don Mattingly. And the guy was like, he retired 15 years ago.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You know, they're in the American League Championship Series right now, right?
No idea.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't. I have to devote all this, this massive cranium.
Sure.
I have to devote it to making sure that I tell the folks what's going on.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
Yeah. That plus, got to drink a little mezcal sometimes and let it rip. Let's see. Craig. Buck, I appreciate your comments on the Syrian situation to be refreshing. 99% of Americans have never served in the U.S. military. 71% of young people today are not even qualified to serve. And have no concept of what it is like to be in a situation where you can be ordered to stand on the wrong end of a rifle. Thank you for your service and having such an honest assessment of the Kurdish, Syrian, Turkish situation. Testudo, Buck. Well, thank you, sir. I'm trying to give you guys the best assessment I can of what I think is happening in Syria. It is very complicated. I mean, I don't pretend that this is not a difficult issue. And anyone who tells you that it is not complicated does not know what the heck they are talking about. So you can always remember, you can always keep that in mind. That is absolutely the case. But we'll see. I think that Trump, in time, will be viewed. Remember, decision-making is often just about, go or no go. The implementation of it is always going to be imperfect when you're talking about a conflict on the ground in a place like Syria. But the basic idea that Trump has here of we are not going to continue this war, I think it's the right one. And people who say it's not a war, it's a training mission, and it's such a small footprint and everything else, okay, well, if it's such a small footprint, it's such a small training mission, how can it matter that much? Why is it so necessary? So I think that people are, look, the national security establishment in this country still very much believes that the U.S. military is the instrument to fix all problems all over the world. It's just a question of, how much they can convince us to do that at any given time. I feel differently about it. Ralph, meaning that I think our military should fight when there's a threat for them to fight that affects us. That's a problem. That's our problem. My man Ralph writes in, the Pluto TV rocks. Well, Ralph, thank you so much, man. We love the Pluto TV. We hope that all of you people listening will download it. We'll check it out because it is fantastic. Pluto TV app. It's not hard to get. Just go on your smartphone, whatever your smartphone is, type in Pluto TV, download it, then just look. You'll see it looks a bit like a cable guide from your TV, but you just scroll on your phone, go to channel 248, boom, watching the Buck Sexton show. So, and now the problem is you guys can see me, so I can't just shave the beard and nobody would notice. 'Cause I've been thinking about it.
Or show up in sweatpants like most radio people do.
Yeah, I know. Well, hopefully
I even have to dress a little nicer.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes we gotta throw you on camera sometimes.
That's okay.
Get ready for it. Will, right. Thanks for doing that speaking engagement at the New York Young Republicans Club. It's good seeing you. Need to do more of those in NYC in the Underground Freedom Hut. Yeah, well, look, I love doing live speeches. It's fun. Hoping to do more. So that was fun with the New York Young Republican Club. And yeah, man. Absolutely. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. We had some Team Buck in attendance in New York City a few weeks back, and it was great, and it makes it more fun for me, and thank you so much for showing up. And hopefully we'll do another one pretty soon. We're back in roll call here. We have our friend Michael writing in. He says, remember, facebook.com/Buck Sexton if you want to be a part of our roll call shout-outs. He writes, Buck, great to see you on your new Pluto show. Cool platform. Look forward to listening and watching you moving forward. Shields high. Well, thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate that. Very, very kind of you to say. Let's see what we have here. John. Shields high. Real news fan. You have at least two Ramirez. Wait, what? You have at least two Ramirez slip through without saying it in the voice. It's becoming unacceptable. I don't know what that is, my friend. Two Ramirez slip through? What is that?
No clue.
Is this some kind of Illuminati, the Bilderbergs?
Maybe
Is that what I slipped? Did I tell you about the Illuminati? Did they finally find out about this?
Maybe some hip new slang word.
I mean, Buck Sexton. I know this guy. I can't trust him. He's got secret words he uses on the radio show. Can't do it. Bilderbergs, Queen of England, the Illuminati. You could work on that radio show, by the way. That would really be a trip. This one's a little more sane. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you?
No clue.
Well, we just blew his mind. You guys all know. That's going to be it for the show today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Definitely download the Pluto TV app. Definitely share this podcast. Available on iTunes, the iHeart app, up at 3 Eastern every day. On Pluto TV at 5 Eastern. Talk to you tomorrow. Shields high.